Welcome to the Nuff Said Podcast, episode 27, final of season 1, the beginning of the end. I am rambunctious Rob Southgate, and with me is...
Juggernaut Jack Wingrosky.
Juggernaut! Ooh, that's a good one. I thought for sure you were going to say Jelly-filled or something again.
Dude, that was like 5 episods ago. Come on.
Yeah,
Catch
man.
up.
You know what? My mind is blown. That episode was fan-freaking-tastic. And if you say anything other than that, I stab you in the eye.
You can't. I've got an implant. It's sending me messages as we speak.
You know what? I see a new T-shirt. Jack has implants.
Hey.
Hey. So Jack, let's jump right into this thing. I mean, this was payoff after payoff after payoff after payoff, and really, it just delivered all the way around. And even like the cliffhanger, like I was reading online, I was on as soon as the episode ended. I saw people writing, and they're like, "That was the cliffhanger." Like I don't quite get it. I'm like, what don't you get? It left you. I think they're thinking that Coulson writing on the wall was the cliffhanger, but the cliffhanger really is Fitz alive? I mean, he is, but what is he?
Well, it's hard to tell what the cliffhanger is when you have like 5 of them.
Yeah. What are Sky and Flowers?
Yeah, evolution. I mean,
and okay, what was Coulson doing? Although, you know what, I was reading on the Agents of Shield fan Facebook page, and somebody wrote on there that map that he was drawing, because I wrote on there that I thought it was a map and it's going to tie into Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Right.
And let's face it, that comes out August 1st, and Agents of Shield should start after that point.
Right.
Okay?
You're thinking tie-in.
Well, yeah. I think that's where your tie-in is you're going to see that map show up in Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm almost positive. But they put on there on the Agents of Shield fan Facebook page, which everybody should join. It's really a cool group. That same map showed up in episode 4.
Now, was that in the Mayan thing, or is that another one?
Well, episode 4 was I Spy. That's the one where they get the asset. Wasn't that the one where the Mayan episode?
Yes.
I Spy was the one where we saw the former Agents of Shield that had the first time we saw the implant in the eye.
Okay.
Okay, so
that's the first time we saw the
that's the
flow
first time
chart.
Right, and that's the first time we heard about the clairvoyant, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
And they were saying that in that episode we see that chart. Now, I think you might be right, because if you think about it, it would be very likely that same thing, and if I remember correctly, I mean, it just kind of is hitting my head. I think we did see something like that in hieroglyphs on the wall.
I'm wondering, what just kind of hit me is this one of the things, like, in case that Shield, something happened to Shield, that this was implanted in his memory. This is he instituted.
No. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because it's the same map that Garrett was drawing, and they didn't implant memories in Garrett.
Oh, so maybe it's like some sort of psychic signal that's going out across the galaxy.
That they're receiving because they've got that alien DNA in them now.
Oh, right. Now, yeah, so now they've got the little antenna. Their DNA
like
is
my favorite
off.
Martian, right?
Right.
Anyway. So I wonder,
that's the great thing about this show is we spent so much on special effects.
You know what? That's the great thing about this show. Everything else, blah, blah. And there's some more special effects. So I wonder if Sky is receiving, you know what I mean? Because she has that DNA in her also.
That's true. But, she hasn't acted on it yet. I think more importantly, what we're focusing on is what the heck is Sky and Flowers, because Flowers has already said they have something in common.
You know what? Okay. I just found something on here. It said there, I see a picture of that same type of map. Okay. Whatever that is. And it is from episode 11 that the map was in there, but then there's a comment under it, and it says that Joni Lead has pointed out there, whoever Joni Lead is, must be a crazy theorist like we are, that there are similarities in the symbols on the blackboard in I Spy to what we see in episode 11.
Okay.
So this was on a blackboard in I Spy. Interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So you know what? I am going to post that on our website, and I will likely be tweeting that out too, because I see that picture of the blackboard, and that is pretty interesting. I'll put it, you know what? Not on our website. I'll put it on our Facebook page.
You want something completely random?
Yeah.
They did something kind of similar in the Sherlock Holmes Elementary, where they had these two scientists had done all their calculations on a wall, only it was in UV ink. So you had to see it, you had to bring in a black light, and it was all the wall scribbling, and it kind of reminded me of that in a weird way.
Interesting.
So if you have a chance, cross-reference the Elementary, because this is one of those little elements that have gone like whole other movies where what's his name that played the the janitor that was doing all these calculations on the wall. Are
you talking about Good Will Hunting or?
Good Will Hunting, and it's a device that they've used a whole bunch.
Sure.
I did not expect it to see in Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
But there are a lot. I mean, so this is really tying in to something big. At first, I thought, well, he's rebuilding S.H.I.E.L.D. and something kind of got activated. But I think you are more correct. This is Alien. We are about to see something very much more alien.
Yeah.
And then what else could it be?
I think I'm right. I think it's going to be tied into Guardians of the Galaxy somehow, because it makes sense.
Yeah, and when is that's coming out? Is that in August?
August 1st.
August 1st. So the timeline works perfectly. If you consider here's end of season, you're going into the summer Marvel blockbuster, you pick it back up in fall. The timing works out good for that. So I have to give you kudos for that one, because I think you're dead on.
Yeah. And not that I understand what it is.
No.
At all.
Well, how many of these things have we made like vague predictions, and yes, they come true, but there's no specifics.
Well, you know what? Here's another thing, Jack. If you look at this blackboard picture, I did put it on our Facebook page. If you look at it, it looks like there's alien writing to the right. At first I thought there were numbers, but the more I look at it, it looks like some kind of like alien writing. So I think I'm right. I think it's a roadmap or something, a frequency, something that's going to lead them into space. Maybe Tony Stark uses this as Iron Man to get up there, because, spoiler, Iron Man's going to show up in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, one of the things it could be, and I think we've seen this before in other things, that this is some sort of circuit board, and Tony Stark looks at it from an engineering perspective and says, okay, well, this is a transistor, this is a resistor, this is, something, you put it all together.
What if that is the tie-in to Guardians of the Galaxy, Jack? What if Tony Stark sees that at the beginning, and that's what gets him into space and ends up with the Guardians? Him and Star-Lord end up together because of that map.
Star-Lord.
Oh, it's going to be so good. That preview just lit me up tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's going to be so good, man. Okay. We should really be talking about this episode, too. Let's get a little focused on it. So first of all, one of the first things I want to bring up is, hey, I was all in. I like the incentive program at Cybertech until I saw what it is. I thought it was dental, maybe some vision.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, they're really buying into this whole thing. They must have a good plan.
It's
not Obamacare. Yeah, it's Fury Care. It's not Obamacare, but it wasn't that.
Boy, Sky just saw right through that and went right for it, because the guy was like willing to give up his life, and we thought it was, like she said, are you just some sort of like sick Hydra craze, or what's the deal? And then she just drops it, says, oh, it's the incentive program. Like, dude, I already know. Let's just go get your wife. I know where she's locked up.
Hey man, let's just even get into that. We could talk for 4 hours about this. There were so many things in this. Sky and May owned this episode.
Oh, by far.
Well, wait a minute. Actually, just about everybody did when you think about it.
Everybody had something.
Everybody did. I can't get to the May one yet because that'll just distract me too much. But Sky, when she came in with the backpack, said it was a bomb. First of all, I'm like, that is awesome, the way she was handling it. It turns out it's a Hulk inside.
And you know what?
Great.
You know what reminded me about that Hulk?
Huh.
You kept saying, man, I saw the references. We're going to see the Hulk. And sure enough,
I was right.
You were right. It wasn't a lot. It was an action figure.
Right.
But yes.
But it was the Hulk.
You called it, man. There he was.
Yeah, there he was. That's so funny. Yeah. Well, and you know what? I think that might have been foreshadowing too, in a kind of a strange way, because okay, we had Flowers investigating Sky and talking about it a little bit. They refer to them as monsters, the parents as monsters. She says to Ward, "How long before you and Sky turn into monsters," or something to that effect. And she's got the same thing going. I think they might be She-Hulks.
Oh.
I think what we saw, the guy, you know how we saw the guy and she said, "I found your daughter"?
Mm-hmm.
I think those burns on him were gamma radiation burns. He didn't survive as well as Bruce Banner did. I think we're going to find out he's chewed up from it. Maybe that's the Abomination. Maybe that's who we were seeing sitting there.
That's a good one, because that would explain the burns, the being torn up. But he's got enough gamma exposure to kind of get over that. But yeah,
right. Although the ages wouldn't work. Ages wouldn't work. He wasn't the Abomination until later. That would only be, if you go by the timeline, that would only be a couple of years ago. So that doesn't work. But maybe it's somebody that was doing gamma radiation experiments that was having these issues way before Bruce Banner really did what he did.
Well, maybe one of the things that they're doing is saying, hey, this is a Hulk-like character, and saying, you know what, we're just not going to insert too many of the Marvel characters. We will do our TV version of them. And then you don't have to worry about, how many times have we discussed this season about who owns what? And if you kind of stay within the Marvel universe,
they own all the Hulk stuff.
That's true.
Disney owns all the Hulk stuff, so they can do whatever they want with it. And that's why I say this is where we're going to see the first appearance of a She-Hulk. And I would not be surprised if Netflix doesn't do like a Green She-Hulk series in either phase 2 or phase 3.
Yeah. Well, like you say, it's foreshadowing. They've kind of hinted towards a Hulk appearance, and now we've seen the doll, and then we've got, 2 084s at the very minimum. And so it's totally possible.
Yeah. Oh, that was awesome. And we did see that same Hulk figure, or one like it, when I think it was Mike Peterson was with his kid in the very beginning,
and
his kid wanted the Avengers action figures,
right?
The Battle of New York action set or whatever it said. That was the same Hulk type figure that they had there. So, and it's probably his, if you think about it. Sky probably grabbed his to take it there because she was already on to what was going on.
Right. And that was the code to the kid that, look, I'm here for you. This is your doll.
This is your action figure. You recognize it, right? Yeah. Okay, let's talk about that for a second. We got the payoff. And with everything else that happened here, I think this got overshadowed, but we got Deathlock.
Yeah.
I mean, we got Deathlock. The eye lit up, and he went rogue against Hydra. He's finally able to defeat it. I'm like, this is it. This is the first bona fide superhero born on this show.
Now, I
couldn't be happier it's him.
Oh, no, I agree. I think the thing that they glossed over a little bit was the fact that he didn't beat the system. Sky was the one that circumvented the software.
Right.
Sky set him free as soon as because he was not allowed to leave Garrett's side.
Right. He said that too, and Garrett was treating him like a puppy. And so as soon as they did that override, it was like RoboCop.
Right.
Remember when they give him the permission? You are fired, and he just starts shooting his boss. Same kind of thing. You're fired, Deathlock. Excellent. Time to start firing.
Right. Now my son's sending me messages, which means he's okay. I'm free. Boom.
Yeah.
Oh man, my tweet was, anybody want to go see Stomp on Broadway?
Oh man, I thought he did. Now, okay, that was one. I thought he did a total curb stomp and crushed his head, but he still got up.
I know.
But
Well,
that was like bittersweet when that happened.
oh, I liked what happened afterwards better. But yeah, I mean, you could tell his eye was like jacked up, and
Yeah, he
I
looked messed up.
I really wanted him to like just crush his head, but it kind of left the whole big finale where, I mean, you think Paxton is, this is okay. He's coming back. We're going to get him for some more. We don't know how he's going to come back, but man, he's got Deathlock all over him. He's got
Well,
all.
we were saying even last week that we thought that Paxton would come back, that he would that Agent Garrett was not really going to go away. And even when he did the head stomp, I thought, okay, I'm thinking he's crushed his skull, but he's got all this stuff going on. He's going to come back to life. And sure enough, he did. That made total sense. You see him get like the Deathlock, the upgraded Deathlock on him. I bet he has HDMI now.
You can get shots for that.
He's actually, a 7.1 surround system now too. It's pretty sweet. And but I hear the Blu-ray is going out, so he has a Blu-ray player, but it is removable. And they show that whole upgrade, and he makes that great comment about getting ahead or whatever that was. And oh man, Coulson fires that thing that they got in the asset, and he's like, I found it. That was just the greatest.
Oh yeah, I'm unstoppable. Boom.
Yeah, boom.
Right in the middle of the word unstoppable.
Oh, that was just amazing. And as much as I didn't want Garrett to go away because I loved Bill Paxton on this show, you know what? That's the way to go. Yeah. That is totally it. Now, what do you think about Fitz? Is he going to come back as like, in a wheelchair and messed up? Is he going to be the same Fitz? I mean, they alluded to the fact that he's going to be different. Yeah, and he's also now admitted that he's in love with Simmons. Now, she didn't say it back to him, but she was tearing up and she was feeling the love.
Yeah, but, another thing too, and I've seen this with couples where, they just don't embrace, or if they do kiss, it just looks kind of separated and awkward. And she kissed all around his face. But I mean, did you notice it was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And like kisses on the cheek and the forehead is what your aunt does. Okay.
Right.
Like you said, I don't think there was the love back. I think she's got her thing for, what's BJ's character? Agent Triplet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think she's still going.
It's a messy little thing going on here.
Well, they've done that with almost every character now. I mean, Coulson. Coulson
Fitz like Sky at one point.
Yes. Yeah, and they were going that direction, and at some point somebody said, "Yeah, I really see that happening," and then it just kind of went away.
Yeah.
And then right when that happened, then they kind of introduced, I think they're just kind of experimenting to see kind of, what, throw everything up against the wall and see what hits.
That could be.
Speaking of getting together.
Okay. Yes.
The whole thing with May and Ward.
Oh.
And going back and forth, and he gets on top and says, reminds me of old times. And she says, you were never on top.
Oh, man. Okay, let's get into that. That was one of the best fight sequences ever on TV.
That was killing.
When she, I mean, okay, we see fight sequences all the time, and there's all the same, crack, 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 fists and kicks, and somebody might pick up a board. She picked up a circular saw. And she went at him with a circular saw. And then she takes a nail gun and nails his foot to the floor. And then that kick at the end, I was like, May is the greatest.
Now, you skipped over my favorite part.
Yes.
Where it's like, wait, let's talk this. And then, bam, she punches him straight in the throat. And
oh, yeah.
And he can't say a word. A word is just he's speechless because she's just popped his larynx, and he's just like, hey, wait a minute, maybe we can talk about this. No, we can't, because I'm going to crush your larynx.
Yeah, well, and that's what Coulson says later, or she says it to Coulson that, well, I crushed his larynx, and he's like, he doesn't need to say anything. that was
That was
just
awesome.
that was so fantastic.
So are we to assume that final kick snapped his neck and he's done?
No, he wasn't dead because he
Okay.
was standing there at the end with Coulson and May, and that remember because Coulson was like, "We're going to get every bit of information out of you that we need."
Okay.
Don't you remember? I mean, it was very much like, "You're done, buddy." And you know what? There's going to be no redemption of Ward. Sorry, that thought is over. What's going to end up probably happening is he is going to get away and become a big baddie.
Wow. I
That's
mean,
my guess.
if you can't, how do you become a big baddie if you can't beat May?
Well, that's just it. He's going to get injected with something, or something's going to happen to him, and he's going to be a big baddie. Because there's no way you're going to waste that character at this point. As soon as you made him bad, he became infinitely more interesting. And yes, there was that question, and when they went towards the redemption thing, we were rippling at it. I'm sure a lot of people were.
Right.
And tonight, it was like, even though he played with that, Coulson put it down and May put it down. You're not redeeming. I'm not accepting this. I crushed your larynx. No sympathy.
Right.
If there was any hope for redemption, there would have been like, we'll talk. It would have been more softer. Like Coulson would have said, like, we're gonna let you heal, and then we're gonna get the answers we need. No, it was like, hey, you know what, buddy? Crushed larynx. We're still gonna get the answers out of you. Get ready.
Well, here's the thing, though: is Coulson was like that with May for about 2 or 3 episodes before he's like, oh, okay, well,
yeah, but not like this.
Yeah, but they've already.
He was mad.
He
was mad at her. This is not mad. This is you're done.
Right.
And think about the position. Okay, well, here's a huge thing. First of all, Fury shows up, and he was in a lot of the episode. How great was that having Fury there?
Oh, yeah. And just to say, hey, cut with the sir stuff. I'm dressed like a homeless man under the bridge.
Right.
I'm just Nick.
Yeah. And then he gives Coulson the power. He makes him the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. He gives him the little box, the toolbox, and he says, rebuild it. This is amazing. Coulson's head of S.H.I.E.L.D. now.
Yeah, he is the new Nick Fury.
That is incredible. And what does that mean for Nick Fury? Is it like the comics when he kind of steps aside and becomes an agent?
I think so. I think we might see him
Does he get involved and create S.W.O.R.D.?
Ooh.
Really, they could do anything, right?
Right. I mean, we're waiting for S.W.O.R.D. to kind of rise out of the ashes. I kind of expected that this was going to be the birth, but Coulson is rebuilding Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's
right.
Fury, I think, is going to do the kind of like the undercover. He's going to kind of stay behind the scenes. Everybody thinks he's dead.
Right.
There's a lot you can do with that.
You know where he's going to resurface is Avengers 2. So we've got almost a year before he resurfaces. He's not going to be director of S.H.I.E.L.D., but he's going to be. He'll probably what'll probably happen. Okay, I'm going to make a prediction right here. He is going to be the head administrative figurehead of the Avengers. They are going to be privatized away from S.H.I.E.L.D. so that they can act as superheroes without S.H.I.E.L.D.'s intervention.
Right.
So they will be almost like heroes for hire for. No, I didn't mean that as heroes for hire. That's going to be coming too because of Netflix. But I think they will be on call for S.H.I.E.L.D. and their liaison will be Nick Fury to Coulson.
Right.
So we're not going to see him in a director role anymore. Even though he has represented S.H.I.E.L.D., Coulson represents S.H.I.E.L.D. now, which is awesome.
Well, and I think it's kind of a departure for like the superheroes, because the way it seemed like to me is that S.H.I.E.L.D. has been kind of set up as a protectorate, or a protectorate for the superheroes, like against themselves and society. Whereas the Avengers are way beyond that. They're not going to let S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of operate in their universe that way.
Right. Right.
They're not going to say, "Oh, you're gonna let me out when I want to go out." No, we're a team and we do our own thing, and that's where you put Fury in.
Yeah. Right.
You know,
Oh, you know what? This just opened up so many possibilities, and the thing that's working about the show now that was not working before is that connection to the movies, that connection to the big story. As we hear about characters that are out there, as we get ideas like this, I really feel like this is existing outside of what we're seeing.
right.
And as you get a more complete picture, like when we say this about Nick Fury, he's going to be gone for months, probably about a year,
Which
which
is
is
another
the right
time.
time frame. Yeah. That doesn't mean he won't resurface during Shield, but I have a feeling that was once again a little foreshadowing by him when he said, "I'm going away for a while." I have a feeling he's not going to resurface until Avengers 2. I
Yeah.
think that's it for Nick Fury for a while, but I think we're going to see all sorts of Shield stuff coming up in the next season where we're going to see more Maria Hill. I really think Agent Hand could resurface. I don't know how, but it is, based on comic books. And unless you see that body and it's incinerated and buried and launched into space after it's buried, it's coming back.
Speaking of coming back, I think they finally answered the May Coulson question. Coulson is now the director. May's role was only a failsafe and really nothing more.
Right.
And I think,
Yeah,
May,
that was really good that Fury clarified that. He took leadership there and let Coulson know and let May know whose role was what. And I thought that was really good. Very clear.
right, because I think at some point, she really thought that she was the one that could pull the plug on Coulson at any time.
Right.
And, really, no. You were Fury's eye on the scene, but you know what?
You weren't driving the actual bus. You were just driving this bus.
Right. It's as he said, I didn't bring you back from the dead for nothing.
Right.
I brought you back as an Avenger that was down.
And I gotta say, Fury was definitely looking better than the last time we saw him.
Yeah.
Because remember, End of Cap 2, he was messed up. And I loved when he pulled his sunglasses down and we saw that eyeball. I'm like, yeah, this is too much, man.
That was cool. Now, you know what worried me a little?
Huh.
And with the whole redemption of Ward, and I know this is kind of weird, but I kept hearing Agent Garrett say vision. I see everything, the vision. And it's like, no, you cannot go that way. I thought somehow that Garrett was going to become the Vision only because...
Okay. Well, because he kept talking about it?
Because he kept talking about it.
I want to address that too, because it's funny. I watched this episode with our super fan, Edward.
Uh-huh.
He helped me out. He was helping live tweet during the episode, and we're watching it. And he actually thought that, who was it? Was it Sky? Uh-oh. Sorry, Edward. He called somebody else out as the Vision. And what I pointed out to him is neither one of them is the Vision, because Paul Bettany is playing the Vision in Avengers 2. So different actor completely. They're not going to have somebody else rise as the Vision and then have a different actor play him in the movie.
Right.
They're not going to do that. So nobody's the Vision but Paul Bettany.
Right. And I guess what worried me is, how do you flip, from, the clairvoyant to the Vision?
Yeah, right.
Boy, that would be messy. But they did.
Well, we don't have to worry about that now. And I tell you what, there's no way Garrett's going to Tahiti.
No, not unless he comes back as a bowl of soup.
I was going to say, they took him in a Ziploc.
This podcast brought to you by Ziploc.
Oh, gross. Yeah.
Ziploc. It's in the bag.
It's in the bag. Garrett, it's in the bag.
So when they went through this whole...
Hey, Jack, speaking of that whole thing,
yes.
I thought that was brought to you by Famous Dave's because I have a hankering for some ribs. How about you?
Yeah, it sounds good to me. Boy, there was rib jokes all over Twitter.
Oh, man. That was so gross. When he pulled his rib out, and then he not just pull it out, he beat him with it.
He stabbed him in the head with his own rib.
With his own rib. Now, that guy... that general, I think that's the guy. I used to really like him when he was on 24. Did you ever watch 24?
When it first came out, yeah, I watched probably like the first 2 or 3 seasons.
Okay, that's when he was on. He was like the security guy for President Palmer.
Oh, wow.
I think that's the same guy. We'll have to look that up to be sure, but I think that was him. And when I saw him and I thought that, I was thinking, oh well, he's probably going to last a couple of episodes. No, no, he's been deboned.
You know who they kind of deboned in this episode?
Who?
Hydra. They put Hydra they said, oh, Hydra there really aren't in the mix. How many, Flowers said, this isn't about, I don't have allegiance to Garrett or Hydra or.
Yeah.
And anytime they started to reference Hydra, somebody would be like, Hydra, meh.
Well, I think the reason for that was the fact that they got into cybertech and ended that, and they got to Garrett, but it's Hydra. Cut a head off, another one grows in. So yeah, we may think they won this round, but they really didn't defeat Hydra. It's just Hydra rose through Garrett for right now. That chapter is over, obviously.
Right.
So yeah, they got deboned a little bit, but I don't know if they did. I think just that faction of Hydra did.
Baby back,
and
back, baby
and
back, my baby back, baby back, baby back.
There's no way.
Baby back.
There's no way that they're not going to approach Ward, and have him be another head of Hydra, another guy.
Right. Well, I mean, Ward's got to get away, and that whole thing is just insanely messy because the last thing that Sky said to him was, you're just Garrett is evil. You're just weak. And
yeah.
You were good, but Garrett just filled your mind, and you're who you choose to be. So I don't know which way they're gonna go, but man, what a bunch of great quotes. I was excited about.
Oh, this episode was full of great quotes.
Oh yeah,
I mean it really was.
The world is changing.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you the one I loved. Hold on, I got a few of them written down here. I was told to never leave your side, sir. I love you too. That was a great line.
I'm gonna miss him.
Oh, he had the best lines. Although Coulson had some really good ones tonight too. Oh no, my number one line was Triplet, whatever his name is.
Triplet.
I bring the noise and the funk wherever I go.
Yeah.
That was an awesome line, and what a great scene. He was fantastic. He didn't get a lot to do in this episode, but the little bit he did, fantastic. So much fun.
Oh, yeah.
And I am going to miss Garrett calling her Flowers. But, man, talk about a character that's going to be important going forward. They have a lot to do with Flowers now.
Right, because she's, we see her, if you actually went all the way to the very end, and not a lot of people did. There were some people that I think on the Twitter sphere that kind of abandoned towards the end, but definitely she's got the picture of Sky, takes it to this guy her dad, and says, "I've found your daughter."
Yeah. Well, I liked when she said, "What am I going to become?" That was what she said to Garrett when he was saying, "I see the universe or whatever, and I can now." I wasn't the clairvoyant, but I can see everything. And she's like, "What do I become?" And then they didn't answer it.
No,
that was really great. Talk about another if you want to talk about cliffhangers, I think that was a cliffhanger in the middle of the episode.
Yeah, they could have given us one of their they could have given us one of their unsubtle quotes or something but they didn't. They didn't even give us a hint.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Now I know what the I couldn't remember what my Coulson quote was that I just loved. But when he was talking to the scene we're talking about, when he was talking to Ward, and he says, "We're going to torture you. Torture will be internal." And then Sky goes, May goes, "And some external." And Coulson's response is, "Yeah, some of that." That was just the best, man.
Oh.
Okay, how about Deathlock? When Mike Peterson would not go see his kid, that was ripping my heart out because he's so ashamed of what he had to do. But Mike, you were forced.
Right.
And does his kid have any idea what his dad was forced to do?
No, and on top of it, that was the whole thing is Sky said, "Hey, you got to tell your dad, what's going on." So the boy knows that he was talking somehow to his dad.
Right.
And, but I guess that gives us the kind of the literary technique of, our redeemed superhero that I've got to go redeem myself so that I can go back to my family.
Oh yeah, this was definitely a superhero trope here. That this is one where I really hope it plays out. You know, after he does some good as Deathlock, that we see him, brought back with his kid.
Right.
Because I have really grown to like Mike Peterson. We liked him in the first episode, but I think that the whole time, as soon as he became Deathlock, and it's like, as the story grew, you just really felt something for this guy.
Yeah.
And now that you see this, like, it was ripping my heart out. I'm like, go to your kid, but then I'm like, I get it. I get why he's feeling that way. And I hope that we get a payoff for that. I hope that he does end up with his kid, and his kid just is completely accepting, and everything goes back. It can take a little while, but that's really something I'm looking for.
Right. So, is there a costume change for this guy?
You mean the spray painted football uniform isn't enough for you? And you know what? They gave Garrett the Deathlock look.
I know.
So are they going to do that to Peterson? Are they going to add to his Deathlock to make it more Deathlocky? Because I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, if they did half of what they did for Garrett, to like Plastic Guy, it's gonna be a lot better.
Yeah. Either that or they're gonna have it hidden. I don't know, man. I really want to see him Deathlock out, if you know what I mean.
How could I not know what that means?
Yeah. But yeah, this is you, Jack. You know exactly what I meant. Man, there was just so much in this. It's funny because this episode for you and I is one where usually we're able to kind of talk through it and we get off track and we talk about other stuff. But there were so many things in this. I feel like all we're doing is geeking out about how awesome it was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to go the geek route here?
I have a feeling I know where you're going because we have missed something major.
Lanyards.
Ahead, exactly.
Patton Oswalt comes back as Billy.
Eric? Nah, I'm Billy. That's my brother.
Unfortunately, he's passed away. But I have some lanyards for you for your team. We'll have to. That'll come later.
Too funny, man.
It's great. Now we get Patton Oswalt whenever we want.
Well, and he's going to be back on next season as like a regular.
Oh, yeah. Whenever they kind of rebuild a facility, it's going to be another Patton Oswalt.
Yeah. Now, here's the question. Somebody posted this on one of the websites. Is he a life model decoy? Is that what we're seeing?
Yes.
It's going to be replications. Or is he just twins?
No. I mean...
You think it's an LMD?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the class... everybody talked about, Coulson this, Coulson that. You notice this guy didn't really have a personality outside of, the lanyards and the, welcome back. And it doesn't matter that this guy was alone for, 2 years in this facility, sitting there by himself. It's, okay, well, I'll get you some lanyards and, good to be here. And,
yeah.
And, your brother got killed. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Right.
That's what an LMD says.
Yeah. Exactly.
An LMD isn't given the keys to the kingdom. An LMD is just kind of, it's like he's just like another one of the Clone Warriors.
Yeah, exactly. All right. I want to talk about, I think we've talked this one out pretty well. Unless you have some more, because I want to talk about some of our stuff that's been happening this week.
All right, go ahead.
Well, first of all, I want to highlight a couple of things. We had lots of tweeting and lots of stuff going on this week. One of our fans on Facebook wrote something that I just want to read through this because it was kind of mind-blowing to me and it went above my head. And I'm like, this is awesome. I really hope that it's by a listener named Charlie Esser, who I'm hoping will consider writing a blog for us because this guy is on it. Here's what he wrote. He writes, and this was right after I posted the picture of he wrote this tonight, so it was right after I posted the picture of Coulson making the map. He says, if you read the original Captain America of the 40s, you learn that he not only gained peak physical ability, but peak mental ability as well. Okay, I did know that. I don't know if you read those early books, but I've read those. When they made, this is where he starts to lose me. When they made the Doctor Strange reference in Winter Soldier, I had a thought that this is where they were going. It is the mind that is the source of superhumanity. That is why so many super soldiers prospects fail. They focus on what Erskine did to the body without realizing that you need the mind to control it as well. Okay, this is pretty good stuff that Charlie's writing here. Coulson can see the universe too, but he was ready for it the same way that Steve Rogers was ready for it, and I can't wait to see where it leads. I expect that something that with Doctor Strange was on the path of before his accident and why I might have read that wrong, and before his accident and why he was a threat to Hydra, and why a novice magician might overcome someone like Mordo. Okay, I don't remember. I was not a big Doctor Strange guy, so I'm getting lost here. Who was raised from birth to the Sorcerer Supreme. Strange understands that the magic is all in the mind, and once you can open that, there's no limit to what you can do. Okay, this was great, Charlie. And it lost me, Jack. I can tell by your silence, you're spinning over there.
Well, I'm just kind of waiting to where, to see where you go with it. I have never been that deep. I enjoy the Marvel universe, but
I know you had the Electric comics, and that's about it, right?
Yeah, and and I did, and the Hulk, and
So here's the deal, Jack. Here's what I want to point out. Doctor Strange is going to be important. Now they haven't announced what Phase 3 is going to be fully. People are assuming Doctor Strange is going to come in there. The reference to Man-Thing last week
right
is another hint that we're going to be, like in this phase, we're going into space. Okay? It's been leading to space. That's why we're ending with why we've got Guardians of the Galaxy, and then in comes Ultron. And we know that in Guardians of the Galaxy, Thanos is showing up. So we're getting that off-world thing. I really think that Phase 3 is going to introduce the mystical. And the mystical part of Marvel is really, I don't want to say governed, but led maybe? Or I'm going to go with led by Doctor Strange. Okay? Doctor Strange is kind of the figurehead of the mystical element of the Marvel Universe.
Okay.
And I think that we're really going to see that part of it getting explored. Because let's look at what they're doing with the MCU. They are taking different genres and making films out of them. Captain America 2, there's a political thriller, right?
Right.
That's your Marvel version of Clear and Present Danger. Guardians of the Galaxy, this is a space adventure. Okay, we've had straight up action movie. We had like Clash of the Titans type thing with Thor. So they're playing with different genres. I think that this whole mystical, magical world is one that they're leading towards, and I think that Charlie might have this right. I think these are big thoughts, though. I don't think this is something most people are going to pick up on, but I think he's right, and I think that Doctor Strange is going to be a factor in this. And I think we're going to get this story. I love it. I loved this post because it really made me think about it.
So you're telling me that Doctor Strange is going to be driving Guardians of the Galaxy, or just
no.
kind of
Guardians of the Galaxy is space.
Right.
Okay. Doctor Strange is more involved with things like Man-Thing.
Okay.
Which are these like magic creature, that part of the Marvel universe. So, I and it also makes me wonder if we're going to get to a point that like the living vampire is here. Is he owned by, because he's tied in with Spider-Man, but is he owned by Sony? Is he going to show up there, or are we going to see that come in here and we're going to get that Marvel horror movie? It could happen.
Yeah.
And that's all kind of stemming out of Doctor Strange. And see, that's another thing. When you start looking at these properties, I mean, each one of them is kind of their own cottage industry. Doctor Strange and that whole mystical thing is a cottage industry. The Avengers is a cottage industry.
Yeah.
Spider-Man is a cottage industry.
Oh, yeah.
They're all separate entities that are tying together. And it just makes me wonder if that's like what the hints they're giving us here. The Hulks and what they're doing with the Hulks. I really think we're going to see Hulks. We're going to see these female Hulks. We're going to see various Hulk things going on. I don't think we're done with that. And I think that between that and this space thing, I think that by Phase 4, Planet Hulk might be a reality. It could happen. I mean, that's a ways out, but it could happen.
Well, if with all these hits that they're dropping, do you think it's going to be that far off?
Well, it has to be, because I mean, when I say far off, we might be talking 4 years.
Yeah.
Is that far? Probably not. 4 years, even 8 years. That's really not that far off when you consider it. 8 years from now, they'll be wrapping up the third Star Wars movie in that new trilogy.
Right.
And that's really not that far away.
And of course, it's kind of like when they put a McDonald's and a Burger King on the same corner. Actually, it creates more like a destination, so both restaurants actually do better. And will we kind of see Star
McDonald's
Wars
and Burger King destination eating?
Have you seen most Americans lately?
Yeah, right.
Now you could have been aghast like maybe 20 years ago, but now it's like, when I make deliveries and I stop someplace for lunch, those places are packed from 11:30 to 2:00, like solid every day. So, but the phenomenon, the reason that they group all these things is what happens is if you put a McDonald's somewhere, it gets it gets some attention. But then when like a competitor's, oh man, they're just kind of getting in the way. But what it's proved time and time again is actually both stores do better because it kind of becomes it becomes like, a place to eat and gather.
Right.
And I'm predicting a similar like a geek zone.
Ooh, yeah.
We're gonna Star Wars and all this stuff that's blossoming with Marvel.
Yeah.
And, I'd say the next 4 years it's like the year of the geek. Like,
yeah,
you can.
Well, and I think that what Marvel's doing is the way that they keep this superhero genre fresh.
Yeah.
Because if all we were getting is, Spider-Man beating up some guys or Batman beating up some guys, it gets stale. That's why everyone went crazy for Dark Knight. It's like, wow, it's different, it's gritty, and it's dark. And then everything became gritty and dark and the same thing. But Marvel is saying, here's our political movie. Here's our Western. Here's our, straight up superhero movie, our action movie, our whatever, our space movie. They're really playing with all these different genres, and they can do multiple movies in those genres.
Right.
So welcome to the Geek Zone.
And I think the Geek Zone has like so far expanded in the last 10 years. It used to be, the brainy guy that had the Apple One. And, he got all the good grades and he plays video games and does his homework. And now, like.
Well, I was 3 of those things.
Well, there you go. If the
I was two of those 3 things. Obviously, it wasn't the homework one.
Right. If the shoe fits is all I'm saying, man.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, God, I had an Apple II Plus. Oh, it was so great. And, my parents got it for me. And when they got it, they bought it at Farnsworth Computer, which is long gone. And the guy at Farnsworth told them, oh, yeah, no, there's not going to be a new model for a while. You're getting the latest new hotness, right?
Right.
So I got it for Christmas. And in February, the Apple IIe came out. The Apple IIe, mine had 64K of RAM. Take that.
Ooh, 64K.
Right? Yeah. And then the Apple IIe came out a couple months later, and it made my computer obsolete. And you want to know why? The Apple IIe was the first one that had upper and lowercase.
Whoa.
And all of a sudden, everything for my computer was obsolete. It was ridiculous.
Because it can't get capital letters. Awesome.
That's right. No, I couldn't do lowercase.
Or couldn't do lowercase. All caps.
Couldn't do lowercase. Although all cap. Hey, Cap. Now you got me thinking about Captain America again. But yeah, that was, I sat around playing Olympic Decathlon and Castle Wolfenstein. And I had this great, talk about geeky. Dude, I had this game. Oh, I had Zork. Oh, God, I loved that. No, I had this game that was called, Dai Ban, which was all about Chinese opium trading.
Right.
It was the stupidest game. And I played it for hours. Hours, man.
Back then, I was just playing with dirt and sticks.
Well, I know. You've talked about that before, Jack. Poor kid.
When I made fire, I rubbed 2 sticks together until they heated up and it burned and made a flame.
And you were the first to have fire in your family.
That's right. It was a great day for the Wingroskis.
Oh, God.
It was as if manna came from heaven. So anyway,
is that how you guys talked? It's kind of weird.
Yeah, that's the way we talked, and that's the way it was. You didn't wear your seatbelt. The car stopped suddenly. You went through the windshield, and that's the way it was.
That's the way it was.
You became brain damaged, and you liked it. And that's the way it was. Those were the good old days.
Oh, man. Wait, we got off track again. Where were we?
Well, what I was in the middle of saying when we went back to your Apple IIe days was
Apple II Plus.
Apple
man.
II Plus.
Let's get it right.
And that most kids fit the geek bill now. I mean, they all have computers. They all know how to debug when they get a virus.
Yeah.
They sit and play games for 4 or 5 hours a day. Now, half of them don't even know how to use a screwdriver unless it's to remove the hard drive from the back of their laptop. And a guy, I was talking to a guy, in his, he was like maybe right around 30 or so. And I was telling him about our Marvel podcast, and he was just like, he was genuinely excited. And I mean, I didn't even know this was like a Marvel guy. I mean, he didn't, hadn't ever talked about it until I brought it up. And then he was talking about all sorts of stuff from the MCU, like just off the top of his head. And I think you've got that now from young now up to, up to like, 30s, 40s almost.
Okay.
Where it's like geek rules. I mean, you don't drive a nice.
It's almost like that's gone. Like that whole geek thing. Like people say it, but it's almost like the stigma's gone because everybody's into it. I was out at my parents' today, right?
Right.
And I was talking to my parents, and my mom started talking to me about the Spider-Man movie that just came out, and she was asking me all these questions, and like she actually knew things. And she says to me, she's like, something about the Rhino, and like, well, I don't know why he was in that robot suit because he's not like that in the comics. And I'm like, what? How does she even know that?
Mom calling out Rhino.
Yeah.
Well, see,
yeah.
And that's
I actually had to tell her, Jack. I'm not talking about it anymore. You're going to have to wait and listen to Enough Said when we talk about Spider-Man 2.
There you go.
Because it was too much.
And
she was asking me too much.
That's my point exactly. It's become where the average person is geek. Now, to be truly geek, you have to be like, in the top 1% of your class at MIT, and, arguing whether or not Pluto is a planet or...
Shut up. It was renamed a planet recently.
Oh, you're getting back there. You're getting close.
I'm all about Pluto.
I'm sure there's a funny story there, but we're going to leave that alone.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to hear any sad childhood stories about Pluto.
Yeah. Oh, sad Pluto stories.
So how did we get this far off track?
I don't know what happened. Oh my gosh. Oh, Jack. Okay, I got another one. And this is going to be, I hesitate to give you this one.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Because it seems self-serving. But it's not. It actually meant something to me. And I don't know if you've seen this yet, but it was really like it made my day. And I want to bring it up. On iTunes, people can leave comments and reviews. And, we always say, hey, give us 5 stars. And, we get a fair number of those. We're doing great. It's great. And we really love it. We really read everything. But I don't know who this is. Okay.
Okay.
But, which is funny because they said that they talked to us. But this came from somebody named Whispering Loon. It's a review on iTunes.
Okay.
And here's what it says. This is what got me. It says, I like spending time with these guys. 5 stars. Okay. Right there, I'm already in. I'm already like, dude, that means a lot to me.
You got me at 5.
Yeah. Have you read this yet, Jack?
No, I have not.
Okay. Then I'm gonna make your day with this because this, I'm not meaning it to be self-serving. I'm meaning it to share with the listeners something that actually meant something really cool to me. And I want to thank this listener. I want to thank Whispering Loon, whoever you are. Watch, it's going to be Martha writing it, my wife. It says, here's a mark of a good podcast. Do you like spending time with the hosts? Okay, that line right there made me think of the podcast that I truly enjoy. That's exactly it. I feel like I'm talking with them. I'm enjoying my time with them. It's not like any other medium where they're talking at you. You're part of the conversation. And I know that you and I look at that way with the people listening to us. Like, we feel like we're in conversation. We just don't hear you right now.
Right.
You know? But that's why we are always like, write in and do this, because it really means something. Okay, so here it goes. They go in your ears. You drive them around, or you drive around with them. You shop for groceries with them. Mom with them. Work with them, or mow with them. I can't read tonight.
Mom with them. Little Mother's Day tribute.
Work with them. I spend parts of my job listening to podcasts, a lot. And as much as possible, I listen to podcasts I enjoy, which is why I listen to Enough Said. Okay? Big crocodile tear. Bigger than Simmons hugging Fitz right there. Jack and Rob are fun to spend time with, and fun to listen to them talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Marvel. Now, granted, this is where they say they know us. It says, now, granted, for Enough Said, I actually have talked to them about some of these fun topics a couple of times. Okay, don't know who it is. And when I look at their reviews, I really don't know who it is. So this is cool. But here's the other mark of a good podcast. Do they engage you enough to make you want to talk back? And the answer, it says, is yes. Recommended for content, recommended for fun, recommended for personalities. Huge hug to you, Whispering Loon. That is the greatest review. I just loved it. I am going to print that out and put that up, and it just made my day. So thank you so much. And Jack, I not to speak for you, I'm sure that had the same effect on you, though.
Oh man, that's just mind-boggling.
It just makes my day.
It makes me want to do those, kind of one of those like Simmons hugging Fits kind of, I don't.
Well, you are going to be in Chicago. I hope you're not coming to give me a big hug tomorrow.
Well, if it would probably be one like Simmons gave to Fitz. Oh,
you're not going to kiss me and then cry a little, are you?
Just on the forehead.
Oh, gross.
Like,
I'm not going to shower.
Well, that has anything to do with it.
And like that's a statement that I need to even make. No. I mean, seriously though, that is huge, and I really appreciate that. Thank you. It just really means a lot to me and Jack. It's just awesome.
And the fun thing is, I learn as much about Marvel as I do doing the show than anything else, because it's something that I was into for quite a while ago, but for a good portion of my upbringing was with Marvel and even some DC. I kind of joke about the Marvel and DC thing, but that's just the stuff I grew up with, and
right.
Yeah, and so I do have a deep appreciation. I am not a scholar. I don't pretend to be, and I think that's the great thing.
Oh, but you're going to be Dr. Farts soon.
Uh-oh.
So I can call you a scholar, just not in Marvel.
That's
Although
true.
I beg to differ. You're getting quite good. I think when we started this thing, I was the one that had a little bit more knowledge. And I say that right now, you and I, when we get into a conversation, you have a lot to say.
Well, that's just because I have a lot of words in my head.
Yeah.
Talking about all the personalities, there's just
right.
Three or four of them in there.
They're having some arguments right now.
Right. I was kind of hoping they wouldn't coming up on the microphone, but
they are.
Maybe that'll be my own podcast.
Well, I think I heard a gurgle. I'm not sure if that was your which end it was coming out of, but
that was just my turn.
So anyway, so there we go. I just wanted to share those couple things, and there were lots of other things this week. Lots of love going our way. I've got one more thing I want to mention. When we did our roundtable, and we are actually trying to get another one together as kind of a season wrap up. But when we did that roundtable, we worked with a couple other podcasts. Obviously, one of them was the Helicarrier podcast, and Helicarrier, now I got to find it on here, is actually changing their RSS feed.
Okay.
So what I encourage people to do is go on, go look for the Helicarrier podcast, find them on Twitter. They will be tweeting out what their new RSS feed is. And if I can find it here, I want to give it to you because he's a great guy. We only talked to one of the two guys that night, but he was great. And I just think that if you're a fan of this show, you're going to be a fan of that show too. And they are really stepping it up. They're getting their own website now. They're going to have a new RSS feed. They're really trying to make something special out of what they got going. And I just wanted to give them a shout out and let you know about that. Jack, if you want to take the talking for a minute, I'll look it up.
All right. Yeah, one of the things about these roundtables is it's just the interaction and all the great guys that have put this together, for the Marvel podcasts. And I don't know if you were there for, go back and listen if you could get it off the website because just like Level 7 and their interaction with Clark Gregg and just the interest, the Helicarrier podcast, and I know you're kind of searching for more, but
No, I got it. I already got it here.
and man, I tell you, just being part of that, it was we just didn't know how it was going to work, and it worked so well because everybody was so knowledgeable and respectful, and it was just a great thing to be a part of.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I did get it here. Oh, you know what? And you mentioned Level 7 too. Let's throw those guys a nice shout out. And Fantastic Geek, as long as we're at it. I've been listening to their shows and really following them. I have been really enjoying them. Level 7, the last couple episodes have just been a lot of fun to listen to. So, big shout out to all of our buddies there. Anyway, Helicarrier Podcast. They now are going to have their own Facebook page. See, they used to have a different name. It would say Helicarrier Podcast, but their Twitter feed was Shield Assemble.
Okay.
So it was a little confusing. But now their Twitter feed, from what I understand, is going to be Helicarrier Podcast. Their Facebook page is Helicarrier Podcast. And you can get their RSS feed at feeds.feedburner.com/Helicarrier Podcast. So, guys, we're giving you a big shout out. If you follow us, follow them, follow Level 7, follow Fantastic Geek. Let's keep that community alive because we just have a lot of fun together, and they're all great guys.
Absolutely. And, that's just I think that's one of the things that this community is making Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a success. And, and
Sure
the Marvel universe is, if people weren't ready for this, it wouldn't not only survive, but do so well.
Right. Well, and you know what? That's the other part of it. As long as you're saying that about the whole Marvel thing, that's the other thing I've really come to enjoy about this is there's a great fan community, but on top of it, the people involved in the MCU seem to be really great people. Robert Downey Jr., did you hear about what he did on his birthday?
No.
On his birthday, he invited over a whole mess of kids to his place. They went in his he had like a gym rec room, and they all watched a special screening of Captain America 2.
Oh.
And he tweeted out an awesome picture. There's all these kids. They all look like they're freaking out. And he's sitting on the floor with them like, woo! And it said in this article I read that he like had food for him. He hung out, watched the whole movie with them. That's Iron Man, dude. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
This is just like a whole family. When you read Clark Gregg's tweets on here, you read, Chloe Bennett's, I mean, they're all just like awesome, real, cool people. It's not like, oh, somebody else is tweeting Clark Gregg's stuff out. No, man, when those tweets are coming, they're coming from Clark Gregg.
Right.
He's part of the fan community. And when he says, I just can't even believe I'm part of this, you know what? He's being truthful.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing to see where this has come, just so far.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's really kind of born out of a whole indie thing because people think, oh, Marvel, it's this big company. But you know what? When they were first launching the MCU, it was very much of an indie film project going on.
Right.
They were going for broke. They were creating something no one else had created. They were not the studio they became very quickly because they didn't have the money to do it. I mean, if you really look back at it, Marvel was in trouble financially before all this. And then they eventually got bought by Disney, but they had already established themselves as a major player at that point. But if you go back before that, they were not a major player in film by any means.
I mean, look at what they'd done up to this point was just, mediocre at best. The thing that made them as successful as they were is because all the people that had grown up with those characters. But I mean,
well, then they got it right as soon as they did. I think they did a good job with the Hulk movie with Ed Norton.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it was when the Iron Man thing started and they said, we're going to be unified. We're going to build on this thing. We have these ideas that we're going to get great directors, great actors, and people that are passionate about it because these people are clearly passionate about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a Lucas kind of endeavor, where everything is consistent and tied together and a great operation where before it was, haphazard at best.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I get you. So there we go. I think I'm done with that whole soapbox. I just wanted to, since this is the last episode of the season for Agents of Shield, I wanted to give some props out there, and I wanted to thank some of our fans. But you know what? Let's get into that last thing. This ain't over, folks. Jack and I have been talking. We plan on keeping this going all summer, and really we kind of have to, because I don't know when the Netflix series are going to hit, but we're going to be right on those. Agent Carter, I did find out today. Now Agents of Shield is moving next year. It's going to be Tuesdays at 9. So it is moving an hour later or 2 hours later. I'm not sure what the 9 o'clock time frame is, but it is going to be, it's like a better spot for Agents of Shield.
Oh, very cool.
And it's like the prime spot is what I was reading. So this is going to be a flagship show for him, a show that a few weeks ago everyone thought was in trouble. Not in trouble anymore, baby. Agent Carter. I thought they were going to use that as a lead-in to S.H.I.E.L.D., but no. During the winter, when they do the 3-month hiatus,
right,
Agent Carter is going to be on every week.
No kidding.
So we'll go S.H.I.E.L.D., Carter, S.H.I.E.L.D.
Awesome.
Are you kidding me? The other thing is those Netflix series, now they've said when they dump them, they're going to dump them like the whole series at once. So Daredevil, all the episodes, boom. You know what? There was an article today. They said the Daredevil series, look at it as a 13-hour Daredevil movie. You know, I turn to butter when I hear that. First of all, is that enough time for me to enjoy my Daredevil? I think for season 1, I can handle a 13-hour Daredevil movie. How long before I get season 2? I love Daredevil. Now, here's the thing. They're going to dump all 13 episodes at once. So when we podcast it, we're going to have to, figure out how we're going to do that effectively. But
we'll just do a 13-hour podcast. That's easy.
With us, we'll be off topic so much. 72 hours later, still talking about Daredevil. But what I'm wondering is, with those other 3 series, are they going to dump them the same weekend, or are they going to dole them out? Is it going to be the summer of Netflix next year? Are they going to do it then, so it doesn't compete with this other stuff? I mean, there's a lot of possibilities of how they're going to do this.
That is true.
So, and then, I mean, you've got 2 Marvel series on ABC, and I'm just so excited for Agent Carter. That is going to be fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
And then we've got the movies. I mean, there is just so much material. So, Jack, let me know what you think about this. But I'm thinking over the summer, starting in maybe 2 weeks, we are going to start doing, at least this is my thought, I think we should do the MCU.
Wow.
Each episode, do an MCU movie. Let's start at the beginning. Let's start with, chronologically, which one happened first? Did Hulk come out before Iron Man? I think it did.
Yes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So let's not do the Ang Lee Hulk. Let's start with the Ed Norton Hulk.
Yay.
Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, because I think that was next. Then I think it was Thor, Captain America, Avengers. Let's do it that way. And we'll just work our way up through Cap 2.
All right.
Even though we already did a Cap 2 episode, we're going to do it a little bit differently. We're not going to just talk about it like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we kind of go off the fly. But we're going to get a little bit more in depth. We're going to talk about some of the connections. We're just going to have a little bit more analysis of it than what we do where we usually just kind of chat it out. And that should bring us, I mean, it's not going to get us through the whole summer, but it should get us pretty far along. And then we can have some fun. We can do maybe some graphic novels, or, maybe we do every other week do a movie, and every other week do like some of the books. I don't know. We'll figure that. Jack and I will figure that one out. But Jack, are you down with that, doing the MCU this year?
I am down with that. In fact, I'm going to throw something here in the short term.
Don't throw it in my eye.
Hey, you'll poke your eye out, and you'll like it.
There's that Wingrovsky family voice again.
So, I am Jupiter Instruments is flying me out actually tomorrow.
Ooh.
And so I will be there at least for a couple days, and then got to go to Indiana. So what I'm thinking is that we do a Chicago to Chicago episode for Spider-Man 2. So I think that's...
Oh, you want to do a live, do us doing Spider-Man 2 and record it while you're here?
Yeah, at the Southgate Media Group headquarters.
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it. So the next episode you hear will be Spider-Man 2. And we have had requests from a couple of our other podcasters. Jonathan has requested that he be on that one.
All right.
So maybe we just kind of hook it up here and have him join us. And Brandon from We Know Games, actually, he wanted to come on tonight's podcast. And I told him, I said, you can be on one maybe in a week or so. And he said, I want to be on.
That sounds like a great time for it. So I say look for us in the next couple days for some big MCU movie.
Yeah. Well, the Spider-Man 2 one will not be part of that MCU breakdown that we do.
Oh, no.
But we are going to talk Spider-Man 2. Well, because I'm thinking that's going to be another phase. Maybe next summer, depending on how it goes, maybe we do the Spider-Man movies.
Oh, dude, we can't wait till next summer for Spider-Man movies.
I know. I don't know how we're going to wait to do any of them. I keep trying to make it stretch out like, okay, every 2 weeks. And then we've got X-Men coming out at the end of the month. And all I want to do is go X-Men 1, X-Men 2, X-Men 3, Wolverine 1, Wolverine 2, First Class, and right into, Days of Future Past. But good Lord, Jack.
And then we top it all with Joni Loves Chachi.
Oh, Joni Loves Chachi. Where's that podcast?
I think it's the failed one that died miserably.
You know what? That's going to be our secret episode. We'll do a Joni Loves Chachi breakdown, but you got to pay. That's where you got to donate. If you really want to hear us talk Joni Loves Chachi.
I think we really should do that. Have it like a paid access Joni Loves Chachi. If you want some crazy, like Southgate, Wienkowski, eclectic, oh my God, where did they go with that? We could make that like the main boxing event for the SMG group.
You know what's crazy? I actually have people that would know so much about those shows. That would be awesome guests. That it would be hilarious.
Oh yeah, I mean
we're not launching that right now. We're doing the MCU. We have another show that's going to be coming out this summer called Press Play, where we do like live commentary for science fiction movies.
All right,
it's going to be a blast, Jack. You don't know it, but you're already booked. It's going to be so much fun, man.
What am I doing again?
I'll tell you when you're here in Chicago. So you know what, Jack, let's wrap this thing up because I want to get this thing posted and get it out to the fans. Thanks for listening, everybody. You can catch past episodes of this show and all 29 other shows that we have on the Southgate Media Group, plus more coming at our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Follow us on Twitter. There's at SMG Pods. My personal one is at rsouthgate. This show is at Nuff Said Podcast. And Jack, yours is?
At J. Wienkowski, WENGROSKY.
Yeah. We now have a Tumblr page, and it is so much fun. So if you have a Tumblr and you want to get on there and see what we've got going, it is not for this show specifically. It's for Southgate Media Group, although we do stuff for each and every show. And we're doing original stuff and blogging on there. And that is just go to Tumblr and look for Southgate Media Group. I believe it's all one word. We're on Facebook. Look up Nuff Said Podcast or Southgate Media Group there. What else, Jack? Are we missing anything? We got Twitter. We got Facebook. We got Tumblr.
You lost me about 10 minutes ago.
We actually have Google Plus also.
What?
And that's under Southgate Media Group.
When did we get Google Plus?
2 days ago, and nobody knows it yet. This is the official announcement.
We have
Google
host.
Plus. We have Google Plus, but they're all Southgate Media Group. I'm not doing it for the individual shows.
Okay.
So it saves everybody a little bit of effort there. But really, there's just so many ways to communicate with us. You can also write to us at southgatemediagroup@gmail.com and go to our website. You can write to us through there too. And you can also check out our partner. We are now the official podcast network of showratings.tv.
Oh, very cool.
Which, if you haven't been to that site, you are missing out. You got to feed your TV obsession by going there. You can read reviews of different shows, different episodes, and you can rate and review them there yourself. That's my favorite thing, because I'll see what like their reviewers will rate an episode. So like this episode, let's say they give it a 9. Then you can have the viewers rating, which I'm going to game it, and it's going to be a 10.
All right.
So it's just really cool. So definitely subscribe to showratings.tv. They are really cool, and they reached out to us. We ended up making a deal that we're their official podcast network, and they're our official TV partner. And I'm so thrilled. They're awesome. And that's it for this week, everybody. Unless you got anything else, Jack.
No, I think that's it. I would. I'd just like to put a shout out to my friend Stanley Martin Lieber.
Oh, wait, what's this? Jack, what's that?
My friend.
Oh, you just giving him a shout out? Just a straight up shout out.
Yep.
All right, Stanley Martin Lieber. Shout out to you, my friend, or Jack's friend. All right, let's wrap it up. For the Nuff Said podcast, I'm rambunctious Rob Southgate.
What am I? What was I? Juggernaut, Jack Rengrowski.
Juggernaut. Yeah, Juggernaut, Jack Rengrowski. That's it, everybody. We'll talk to you next week. Until then, Nuff Said.
Nuff said.
If you would like to donate to help pay for this and other Southgate Media Group podcasts, simply go to our website, southgatemediagroup.com, and click on the donate button. It can be as little as $1 or, well, as much as you want. Help keep this fun going by supporting this and our other shows. Thanks again for listening, everyone. You're the best fans in the world.